The year 2026 will be remembered for earthquakes that changed the world. From early spring to late summer, the ground shook in many countries. In just a few seconds, cities and villages were turned into piles of rubble, families lost their homes, and many lost much more. People watched in fear as news came in from every corner of the world. Some earthquakes struck at night, catching sleeping families by surprise. Others hit during the busiest hours of the day. Whole communities were left searching for loved ones, help, and hope. The shock was not just local. People everywhere felt the pain and fear. They asked the same question: why were these earthquakes so deadly? In this essay, we will look at the real science behind these disasters and what we can learn from them. In 2026, several huge earthquakes struck around the world. The first big shock came in Venezuela, a double earthquake just minutes apart. Buildings fell in the capital and nearby towns. Rescue teams worked day and night. Soon after, the Philippines faced a powerful quake. Many islands were affected, bridges cracked, roads split apart, and thousands lost their homes. In Mexico, a deep rumble shook the city, causing old buildings to collapse and leaving many trapped. Peru was next, with a quake that rocked the Andes Mountains. Landslides blocked roads and entire villages were cut off. In Japan, an earthquake struck near a crowded city, causing fires and tsunamis. Smaller but deadly earthquakes also hit Greece, China, and Indonesia. By the end of the year, millions were affected. The death toll was high, and the damage was worse than most years before. The world mourned, but also wondered why 2026 was so different. To understand why earthquakes happen, we need to know about the ground under our feet. The Earth's surface is made of giant pieces called plates. These plates fit together like a puzzle and are always moving, but very slowly. Sometimes the plates push against each other. Sometimes they pull apart or slide past one another. When the stress between two plates becomes too much, the ground breaks. This sudden release of energy causes an earthquake. The shaking travels out, like ripples in a pond. In 2026, most big earthquakes happened where plates meet. For example, the Philippines sits where the Pacific Plate slides under the Asian Plate. Venezuela is near the edge of the Caribbean Plate. These are places where the Earth is always under stress. Not every plate boundary is the same. Some slip quietly, but others build up stress for years. When they finally slip, the shaking is much stronger. That is what happened in many places in 2026. Earthquakes are not always deadly, but in 2026, several things made them worse. Many quakes happened close to the surface. These are called shallow earthquakes. Shallow quakes shake the ground harder, so buildings are more likely to fall. Another problem was the type of ground. Soft soil and sand can shake like jelly during a quake. Buildings on this kind of ground are at risk, even if they are well built. In Mexico and parts of Venezuela, this was a big problem. Scientists also found that stress had built up for a long time. Some faults had not moved in decades. When they finally broke, the energy released was huge. Many places also suffered from aftershocks, smaller quakes that followed the main shock and caused more damage. All these factors came together in 2026. Shallow depth, soft ground, and lots of built-up stress made the earthquakes especially destructive. The shaking was hard and lasted longer than usual. Nature sets the stage, but human actions decide how bad the damage will be. In many places struck by earthquakes in 2026, buildings were old or poorly made. Some had cracks from earlier quakes. Others were built too quickly, without following safe designs. Crowded cities made things worse. More people meant more lives at risk. In cities like Manila, Caracas, and Lima, thousands lived in high-rise apartments or crowded neighborhoods. When the ground shook, there was little space to escape. Narrow streets slowed down rescue efforts. In some countries, building codes are not strict, or people cannot afford safer homes. This left many people unprotected. Even in places that had rules, old buildings were not updated. So when the earthquakes came, the damage was much worse than it needed to be. Preparedness also matters. In some cities, people had no plan for what to do. Emergency kits were missing, and few knew where to go for safety. This lack of readiness turned natural disasters into human tragedies. One of the biggest questions after a quake is, why didn't we see it coming? The truth is, science cannot predict the exact time or day of an earthquake. We know where the risk is high, but not when the ground will break. Scientists use maps to show where the Earth's plates meet. These are called risk zones. We know that places near faults, like California, Turkey, and Japan, are more likely to have earthquakes. But no one can say when the next big one will strike. In 2026, many earthquakes happened in known risk zones. People were warned that these places were dangerous, but it is easy to forget when years go by without a quake. This is why preparation is so important, even when there has not been a quake for a long time. Earthquakes will always be a part of life on Earth. We cannot stop them, but we can get ready and reduce the damage when they come. Some places in the world are always at risk. California sits on the San Andreas Fault, where huge earthquakes have happened before. Turkey has the North Anatolian Fault, and large cities like Istanbul are nearby. Japan faces risk almost everywhere, as it sits where several plates meet. Chile, Peru, and other countries along the Pacific Ring of Fire also face danger. In Asia, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Indonesia have faced deadly quakes before and will face them again. Crowded cities are growing in these high-risk areas. More people live in tall buildings, and more homes are built on soft ground. If another big earthquake strikes, the damage could be even greater. It is not just about fault lines. The way cities are built and how people prepare makes a huge difference. The next big earthquake may happen tomorrow or years from now, but experts agree. The risk is real and growing. Earthquakes are scary, but you can take steps to stay safe. First, know where the safe spots are in your home, like under a strong table or next to an inside wall. Keep an emergency kit with food, water, and medicine. Practice earthquake drills with your family and friends. Make sure heavy items are fixed to walls. If you live in an old building, ask if it is earthquake safe. Learn how to turn off gas and electricity in your home. After a quake, watch out for aftershocks and stay away from damaged buildings. Being ready saves lives. The earthquakes of 2026 showed us how important it is to prepare. Nature causes earthquakes, but people decide how much harm is done. Was the real danger the shaking ground or the fact that we were not ready? Think about it and make a plan today.